Hi, and welcome to this new episode. This one is a special one because maybe you know, maybe you don't, maybe you've been part of it, but in the last few months, we had one great online event called the Confident Singer Bootcamp. And it was so amazing. People were so engaged. There were so many singers, passionate singers, asking for feedback, posting their songs, and getting results by shifting one little thing in their vocal technique or even in their mindset. And because it was so inspiring, I do want to share a little piece of it with you. So this episode will actually be a recording of that Confident Singer Bootcamp training. And it was just such an amazing event. So when the next one happens, I will tell you if you want. So in the link here in the description below, you can find the waitlist if you want to be part of our next bootcamp happening in a few months. So enjoy this very special episode, and I'll see you there in the recording. Bye. Making time for singing. So now that you know that singing is a necessity, it is important that we find the time to develop ourselves as a singer. That's where the effective practice session can help you. So, scheduling an effective practice session is so important. It gives you a direction, a clear context, and a step by step plan. In the Singing Insiders membership, this is exactly what we work on. So, I'm going to share a little bit with you today so that you can get started with it. So, let's start at the beginning. Look at your typical week. Is there a day during your typical week where you can make time to sing? If so, how much time? Is that 15 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it half an hour? Is it a full hour? Doesn't matter. Is there a time in your typical week that you can and want to set aside on a weekly basis? And the key word here is want, because as we all know, in Dutch, we have this expression saying, where there is a will, there is a way. I guess you can say that in English too. So grab your calendar and look at a moment in your typical week where you can schedule your practice session. Now, for some singers, this is difficult. And then we can look even deeper. And we can look at how we can find free time, even if it seems like there is no free time, right? So let's look at this. Do you sometimes watch TV? For example, Netflix, some series or a movie, or do you scroll on social media? Or are there any other time wasting activities that you could cut back on? So, can you imagine how much time you would gain by watching a 40-minute series, for example, instead of a film that lasts 2 hours? I'm not saying that you should stop watching Netflix altogether, but how can you find a balance? So, I hope you have written down a date and a time. Now, in that free moment, however long this is, it might be that you're driving to work and the drive to work is 15 minutes. That could be your practice time, right? It doesn't have to last hours. It could, but doesn't have to. So in that free moment, you can schedule your effective practice session. So suppose you set aside 1 hour every Friday to sing. What do you think you will get the most results from? Singing along with your favorite artist on YouTube or Spotify or the radio, or consciously practice the different vocal techniques? What do you think will get you the most results? We want to have an action plan during our practice session. If you've watched training number 1, then you know that consciously practicing will make the difference. And that's why I call this an effective practice session. So you can see that there are 4 big phases that you can have in your practice: a warm up, some vocal technique, repertoire, and a vocal cool down. You can use these 4 phases during your practice session to make it more effective. So let's take as an example that you can free up 1 hour every week to sing. Then you can divide the 4 phases like this. You could warm up for 10 minutes, then work on vocal technique for 15, work on repertoire for 25, and then have a vocal cool down of about 10 minutes to end things. What you're doing is taking the time that you have. So if you have 4 hours, great. If you have 15 minutes, great. And it's 5 minutes each, right? This training is action based. I don't want you to passively get along and listen to this video and live stream. I want you to take action. So do the work, because that's where you're going to get the most results. We can see what the content of each of these phases will be, right? So a warm up, so that could be lip trills, right? Or singing through a straw. I've got some vocal warm ups on YouTube as well. So you could say, I'm starting with a lip trill, then I'm going to go with a body stretch, and then I'm going to activate my head voice, and then finish off with tongue twisters, for example, right? So that brings us to the second phase, which is the vocal technique phase. So here you're supposed to focus on one or more vocal techniques. So let's say that your goal was able to sing, well, speechless, right? Because we're working with speechless. Say you want to be able to sing speechless from the movie Aladdin. And in that song, it's important to activate your chest voice, right? So it would be a very good exercise before going into repertoire to do some chest voice exercises, right? So you can do some vocal workouts around chest voice, or you can do some vocal workouts about head voice, because both are very important in that song. So soon I will give you a few vocal techniques exercises that you can also use for this part. Now, inside the Singing Insiders, again, you get access to tons of vocal workouts, and you can just put them on, play, sing along, and you have practiced that specific vocal technique. So the next phase is probably the phase that most people look forward to in their practice session, which is repertoire. This is where we're going to put everything into a song. So choose which song that you would like to work on, or maybe it's several songs, or maybe it's just one song. Maybe it's just a part of a song. Maybe it's just a chorus or just the verse. And this is the moment where you can rehearse the song. So look at where the melody goes. Look at how the rhythm is being placed. Look at which vocal techniques can be applied. All those things are where we rehearse that. That's in the repertoire section. So it could be that you focus on one song or a particular part of a song. You don't have to stick to just one, for example. So there's so many things to play with here. And maybe day one, you can, or week one, you can focus on speechless. And then next week, you can focus on A Million Reasons. And then the week after that, Let It Be from the Beatles, whatever. So you can change things up however you like it to. And then we have the vocal cool down. So a vocal cool down is basically a stretch for your vocal muscles to release any tension that you have or might have built up during your practice. It's kind of like, you can compare it to an athlete. An athlete will warm up their muscles, then they will do their sports. They will run, they will swim, they will do gymnastics, whatever it is, and then they will stretch. Well, with a vocal cool down, that's exactly what we do. We're stretching our vocal muscles. And I'm going to give you a little tip, a hack. A vocal cool down is the opposite of a vocal warm up. So, whatever you've written down for your vocal warm up exercises, you can use them with the cool down in the opposite. So if you start with lip trills and then go to head voice and then go to chest, you can do the opposite for the cool down section. So then you start with chest, then go to head voice, and then end with lip trills. Also, with a warm up, we're going up. We're gonna choose scales that stretch and lengthen the chords. With a vocal cool down, we're going down. So we're choosing the stretch and the release. Stretch and the release. So you can use both of those phases together, but mirrored. Do you always have to warm up your body with stretches? You can. I hate to tell people what they must do. The most important thing is that it feels good for you. Also, it's good to stretch your voice because that way, all the muscles here that might have, tension build up during the day. If you're behind the computer all day, then the tension might start. So it's good to, I always do stretches, always. It really helps me. So maybe it might help you too. When you use this vocal workout planner, every time that you make time to sing, you will see that you will get results much faster. Working this way ensures that you can keep track of your progress and have a clear overview of what your next step in your singing journey is. Because if today you've worked on head voice and next week you've worked on chest voice, then maybe the week after that you're ready to work on mixed voice. And that's how you can track your progress. See? Do up,